When it comes to functional nutrition, what does that actually mean? Like, why do we want to even talk about it? Why is it worth learning about? What am I even mentioning here? And I want to kind of dive in today because functional nutrition has personally changed the game for me when it comes to my health and wellness journey, and learning about what functional nutrition really is and why it's so profound as a practice can really transform your health and wellness. And so I want to talk a little bit about what it is, why it matters, and how it can be a total game changer. So the first thing to understand about functional nutrition is it's kind of based on a couple different principles. The first is it's really rooted in what serves the body. It looks at the body as a whole. It really looks at the body as a system, and it helps you understand like what serves the body and why when it comes to different kinds of nutritional practices. It also looks at hormones and stress, digestion, sleep, all of those things. Like, it's helping us understand what are all the factors inside of our health that actually play a role in how the body receives inputs, receives nutrition, and what does that mean from a longevity health standpoint. The other thing to understand about functional nutrition practices is it uses food or looks at food as information and input. Very specific things that can actually energize the body and fuel the body in specific kinds of ways. And so I want to kind of reframe this and share this because nutrition, as I've shared on other podcast episodes, can be a very, very confusing conversation, especially in women's health. We have been shared and shown so many extremes, cutting out food groups, why we need this or don't need that. And it's extremely confusing. And the other thing that's very confusing is the diet culture messaging around how you should just eat less. If you want to reach health goals, you should just eat less. And many of my clients, the women I speak to, and even in my own journey, I've had to learn the power of adequate fuel, right? Like actually eating the fuel your body requires and not under eating. And so many women underfuel, undereat because of old school narratives, because of busy lifestyles, because of chronic stress, whatever the case may be. And because of that, we're actually backfiring against our physiology. So that's why I want to talk a little bit about functional nutrition today and share more of what I've learned. So there's a couple big points that I want to share. When you think about functional nutrition strategies, one of the first key things is how it works with your hormones. It works with your physiology, not against it. So what does that mean? You're fueling in a strategic way where you're supporting your stress hormones, your cortisol. You're not driving added stress in the body because you're doing things like regulating blood sugar. How do we do that? We eat consistently throughout the day, right? We don't get into crashes. We don't get into as many cravings because we're using a very specific strategy that helps us not only get adequate fuel, but get adequate fuel consistently, because this is the key to supporting overall hormone health, our thyroid, our metabolic health, and so much more. So supporting our hormones with these practices is a big piece to the strategy. The second is focusing on reducing inflammation. So functional nutrition and the style of nutritional strategy that I've really adopted most and that I've seen really transform my health tremendously is more of a Mediterranean style diet most consistently. Now, I will talk a little bit about diet variation in a minute, but Mediterranean style is very anti-inflammatory focused. It's focused on eating a lot of quality proteins, a lot of plants, a lot of complex carbohydrates, and things that are just nourishing and energizing to the body. So it helps calm down any kind of puffiness, bloating, joint aches, just the inflammation that we carry in the body and how we feel not great. Like this kind of nutrition strategy actually combats that, right? Because it focuses on nutrient density and making sure that we're, supporting the gut and supporting digestion with the variety of nutrients that we're incorporating in our day-to-day regimen. And so that is a big one, just reducing inflammation and really getting to a place where we're stabilizing energy over time. And that's kind of the third point, right? This kind of focus, functional nutrition, is about stabilizing energy. So we're nourishing our cells at a very deep level. We're supporting our adrenal function. We're making sure that our body has reliable energy sources coming in. I talked a little bit about inputs, but when we think about food and fuel, that's what it is. It's input to our body. And the input is what gives our body the ability to do the job it's supposed to do. It's the communication system that helps our cells communicate, our organs communicate, our bodies essentially feel optimized and energized. And so we want to make sure that we're choosing foods that stabilize energy. And this functional nutrition strategy is what does that. When we're focusing on whole foods anti-inflammatory foods, the Mediterranean style of eating, getting a quality variety of nutrients from macronutrients and different micronutrients, lots of plants, lots of protein, all of it matters. The other big thing, and this is probably the most important, and this is the one that I share with my clients and I want to teach women above all, is this idea of sustainability. Functional nutrition is grounded in making it sustainable. It is not overly extreme in any one capacity. It encourages manageable habits. It helps with fitting into real life, like real motherhood, real life, real busyness, real stress, real schedules. Like all of that is huge because this is what helps us build resilience over time, rather than feeling like we have to restrict or underfuel because we're so busy, right? So building sustainability is a big part of functional nutrition. And I've loved that about everything that I've learned over time. Now, here are some simple ways to kind of build into these strategies. What can you actually do? Like, what are the tangible takeaways that I want you to take from this? And what are the things that you can start to practice? So I talk about this all the time, but eating fat, protein, carbohydrates, and fiber at every meal, right? Your body needs a variety of all of the foods, not only for energy, but to feel satiated, to feel energized, all the things. Like it matters tremendously. Not skipping meals is a big one, right? Especially from a hormonal health standpoint. You want to get up, you want to energize the body, you want to feed the body with inputs that will help it function and optimize how it feels from the inside out, right? You want to build meals around blood sugar stability. So this is a big one. Again, we go back to protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber at every meal, but then making sure that you're eating consistently enough where you're not getting into these super extended long times of not eating and essentially stabilizing your blood sugar. That is huge. So the body feels protected, nurtured, safe, and it has more predictability as far as the fuel and the energy that's coming, right? That's a big part of how the body functions. We'll get back to our conversation shortly after this message. If you are an overwhelmed and completely confused mom who just wants a simplified, easy to follow, and understandable plan when it comes to their health and wellness journey, then you're in the right place. As a wellness coach, I focus most on empowering women to follow a highly personalized and bio-individual plan that actually gets you results and that feels sustainable for your longevity. I'd love to invite you to set up a free coaching call to talk about your health and wellness journey. Head to erinshreer.com/coaching to set up your call today. Again, that URL is erinshreer.com/coaching to set up your call. And to make it even easier, head to the show notes of this podcast and click free coaching session to set up your call ASAP. Now let's dive back into the conversation. Making sure that you're always prioritizing whole foods over processed foods. This is a big one. I know this isn't easy. I know especially when we have kids in the house, we have friends over, we have events, we're celebrating things. There are certainly things that are out of our control. Absolutely. Is it fine to indulge? Absolutely. Is it fine to indulge every day, all day for every meal? Probably not, right? Having a balance in there is important. And so when we think about functional nutrition, prioritizing whole foods is always number one. How do we think about foods from an energizing standpoint? How do we lean on foods that we know are going to provide our body with energy? It's a big one. And so I like to always make sure I'm talking about the importance of thinking about whole foods and leaning on those the most. Hydration and electrolytes. This is a big one. I talk about this all the time. This is a huge part of functional nutrition strategies, and using quality electrolytes that are not sugar forward matter. Right? So often we get into places of feeling low energy, having headaches, feeling ravenous, when in actuality, we are probably dehydrated. So often we get into a place of actually not hydrating enough and not getting enough water, electrolytes, et cetera. So making sure you have enough quality electrolytes and hydration on board is a big part of the strategy overall. So that's another quick tip. Make sure that you're supporting your overall digestion. And so this is part of kind of the Mediterranean lifestyle, right? And this is something that I learned from one of my podcast guests that I loved hearing from so much, this idea of the Mediterranean lifestyle. And what that means is not only the foods you choose and how you choose foods and what foods you're putting on your plate and how you eat, but it's actually like the physical process of eating too, right? Sitting down, slowing down, chewing your food, breathing between bites, not just rushing and multitasking your way through meals. That is part of our American culture and our American society. The rush, the on to the next thing, that I have to do all the things at once. This is something that I personally fight against all the time. But when you think about Mediterranean lifestyle, functional nutrition, this is a huge component, a huge habit that I want to encourage you to start to adopt. which is slowing down at mealtime and trying to give yourself a dedicated 5 to 10 minutes to slowly eat, to breathe, and to actually enjoy the meals that you're consuming. And then the last piece is more of a mindset thing, which is reducing and eliminating the all or nothing mindset. So often in the conversations I have as a health coach, women have this idea of they have to be all in, they have to be 100%, they have to have it all figured out, they have to have their ducks in a row. And that's not reality. There is always an ebb and flow inside of any kind of journey we're on, but especially when it comes to health. The all or nothing mindset is what keeps you stuck. Slowly figure out ways to adopt things that feel manageable and then pile them on from there. But don't feel like you have to go all in and change all the things and do all the stuff all at once. That is not the way. All or nothing mindset is something to minimize, reduce, get rid of. And instead, when you think about functional nutrition strategies and what actually serves your physiology best, choose one new thing you can try to implement. Choose one small habit that you want to start to commit to, and then build from there. You know, one of the things I talked about a little bit earlier was this idea of diet variation. And so one of the things that I've personally learned alongside my healing journey is how powerful different nutritional strategies can be from a healing perspective. And what do I mean by that? You know, I'm someone who's gone down the road of having to really uncover some significant hurdles in my health journey, from overactive immune disorder to gut dysbiosis to leaky gut to, you know, all kinds of pathogens, potential parasites, SIBO, like a lot of really deep rooted issues with my gut, with my immune system, with my metabolic health, et cetera. And so with that knowledge that I've learned through targeted testing on my unique physiology, I've learned the power of using diet variation to help the body heal. So in certain seasons, eating more protein, in certain seasons, eating more carbohydrates, actually flipping days from eating more carbohydrates to eating more proteins. But with anything, when it comes to diet variation, there's always got to be a strategy. There's always got to be a cycling mentality. There always has to be professional guidance on the why behind it, right? And so these are things that I've learned, and it can be really powerful, kind of just like working out and fitness. You may have heard the term like muscle adaptation or body adaptation, how the body starts to adapt to what you're giving it, right? Including with workouts. And so you have to change it up a little bit. You have to either change the load, change the reps, change how you're doing the moves, changing tension, whatever it is. Like at some point, the body adapts to the inputs, and you have to vary how you're progressing into the next step of either healing or growth or whatever it is. It's the same thing with nutrition. You can use nutrition with diet variation strategies as well to get into deeper rooted healing, to get into different kinds of health goals, and to really help yourself, you know, press forward on your health and wellness journey. That's a big part of functional nutrition, using diet variation with a very specific strategy that actually serves your physiology. And the reason I say that is whenever you're using anything that's beyond just a typical like Mediterranean focused functional nutrition strategy, it needs to be alongside understanding what your physiology needs and why, right? That comes from really looking at your symptoms, really assessing your energy, really potentially looking at data and knowing what's happening underneath the hood at a root cause level that's actually going to give you the best chance of giving you the most efficient and effective plan, right? And so I like to share that because my journey is highly unique to me. And I like to say this over and over and over to the people that listen to this podcast. I want you to know that your journey is unique to you. What works for me will not work for you. What works for your neighbor will not work for you. Every single one of us is wildly bio-individual. And so even when it comes to things like functional nutrition strategies and what actually serves your body best, there is some trial and error in figuring out what helps you feel good, what helps you feel energized, and what's going to help serve you in this season. And so in a nutshell, I've really loved learning about functional nutrition because there's a lot of healing specific properties that I never knew until I started to dive into this education. There's a lot of variation you can use with a very specific strategy and help it in order to help you heal or reach certain goals. And then there's also a lot you can learn about blood sugar stability and really making sure you're not adding unnecessary stress to the body. You know, so much of the health and wellness space can be super noisy and confusing. Nutrition is one of those topics. And I want to empower you to understand that focusing most on the basics, using whole food strategies, bringing in anti-inflammatory properties, like that is the kind of methodology and focus that's going to help you reach your goals when it comes to nutrition on your health and wellness journey. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I know balancing time and energy can be a challenge, and I'm so proud of you for listening in and investing in your wellness journey. I feel incredibly grateful to connect with you and for the opportunity to share more knowledge, stories, and encouragement related to all things wellness. I would love to hear how this podcast has served you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify. Your support truly means the world to me and helps me reach more women just like you and me who are looking to transform their health from the inside out. Plus, when you share this episode with a friend, we invite more women in to learn alongside us. What a gift. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better we can do. For ourselves, for our families, and our future. Well done on taking the step towards a healthier, happier you. Until next week, stay empowered and stay well.